Hey everyone, so this is gonna be an English video, as you can hear, and the reason why this is gonna be an English video is because I think that the topic I'm gonna talk about is as important that it's not really that effective to do a Czech video, because I think that this should be talked about in English and this should get to as many people as possible. So this topic is really out there on YouTube in English for people to share and for everybody, or like people to get this. To hear that there's someone who cares about this and who thinks this is an issue. Therefore, I do apologize in advance that I'm not familiar in doing English content. I used to stream in English back then, a few years ago, but I'm not really used to speaking English, definitely not in these long sequences, so I do apologize for the mistakes and for the errors that I'm going to make. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about and why do I think it's important. I'm going to talk about Clan Wars balance and the whole Clan Wars situation in World of Tanks that's going on for a few years already, but it's going worse. It's getting worse and worse as we move on, and I think that it has gotten to a point when somebody should care, and I don't really have a feeling that anybody cares, and I definitely don't think that me making this video is going to change anything, but one of the reasons why I'm doing this is that I saw a skills video. Probably a lot of you saw it as well, because it really got spread out in the community a lot. It has some sort of like 150k views or something. And in this video, Skill is talking about all the problems that are plaguing World of Tanks lately. And he even went as far as suggesting people not spend money in the game until Wargaming fix those mistakes. I'm not going to talk about those things he talked about, because I think that he really said it well, and I do agree with most of the things he said in the video. So that's not really my concern right now, but my concern is Clan Wars and clan gaming in general, not only Clan Wars as in global map. So where to start and why do I do this? Why am I doing this video now? Well, there are two reasons for it. Reason number one is Wargaming putting Bond Turbo in our last ranked battle season. And the reason two is a news which is like 1 day old or something, or 2 days old. And that's that in the upcoming campaign, the Clan Wars campaign, there's gonna be no Chieftain. Second time in a row. And I think that this is a decision that definitely needs to be covered in a video. So let's jump straight into it. Okay, well, where to start? This is such a complex problem that we have to start somewhere, right? But I already mentioned the tank, so let's start with that. The whole Clan War gaming experience for players went to shit, more or less, with the introduction of the Chieftain. Probably it's really important for few of you who are not really that familiar with the balance of the game, or like you are just casual players that don't really care. I think it's important to highlight how fucking broken the tank is. And the whole time I'm going to speak about the tank, still keep in mind that this is a tank that Wargaming themselves decided to put in the game. Nobody forced them to. Nobody made them to make the tank in the state as it is right now. It was their decision to put it in the game. And therefore, that's the main reason why I think they are ones to blame and nobody else. Well, anyways, let's jump into it. What exactly is a Chieftain? Let's really quick comparison with the other tanks. So, this is it. Tier 10 British heavy tank. Looks kind of cute, kind of modern, and as you can see in our armor inspector, this is basically impenetrable. And the only weak spot that the tank really has, apart from this, which, as you can see from the numbers, is really fucking strong as well. In Chieftain against Chieftain combat, this is not even like a normal chance pan. I mean, you're probably gonna shoot this, right? So obviously there's a chance, but still, like, this is a weak spot, right? 270 millimeters or whatever, 250. And the only weak spot that the tank really has is this cupola. So you can see, like, this is how big it is. This is how big it is. And obviously the tank has 10 degrees of gun depression, so you're gonna really often see it from this. And there's like 1 or 2 pixels that you can basically hit. And we all know how really RNG works in World of Tanks, how accuracy works in World of Tanks. So that's one problem, right? So the armor model itself is like, okay, well, we have a really, really strong armor tank, maybe even stronger than like IS-7 or something. well, it surely has to be slow, right? Well, it's not. It's not slow. 16.67 power to weight ratio, 1000 horsepower engine, 46 top speed, and obviously not really the greatest turn resistances, but not the worst ones ever as well. So, okay, well, it definitely has to have like a shit gun, right? Not really, right? I mean, 440 alpha, 2.6 base DPM, which gets up to like 3.3 or something. Really good aim time, or like definitely better than average aim time. Good dispersions. So, well, Marty, what's the downside of the tank, right? Well, all tanks in War of Tanks have some sort of disadvantage against the other ones, so it's balanced, right? I mean, I hate to break it to you, but basically there's none. The tank can side scrape, the tank can get hull down. You can do basically anything with it. You could only say that it has no camo because it's a heavy tank, but yeah, it's a heavy tank. So and 410 view range as well. So you can just put, you know, ventilation or something, and you are totally fine with your view range as well. And on top of it, it has like 127 or 130 penetration HE ammo, which gets to anything, especially 140. I'm sorry, 140 penetration HE ammo, which with the light exchanges can get through tracks as well. So this is what we have for 2.5 years already, and the tank in a state as it is right now is put in the game by Wargaming. Well, I think it's safe to say that it's the best tank in the game, at least in my opinion. There can be an argument that 279 could be better, but in my opinion, the combination of mobility, gun depression with 10 degrees, basically almost impenetrable turret unless you hit this really small cupola. The combination of all factors makes it much better than 279, or like not like much better, but a better tank than 279 is. So we have this. I only put like these comparisons, or like tanks that are most used when you don't have a Chieftain. But if you look at those three, probably one of those best tier 10 heavies, every one of these tanks, they have disadvantages. This has low gun depression, or like small gun depression. It can't really side scrape because you can pen it here. It has a little bit bigger cupola than Chieftain. This has really good turret with even better gun depression, but it can't side scrape because you can pen it here. Yeah, the turret is really strong, and Kranwagen overall is really good tank, probably the best Tech 3 heavy, I think. But it has shit penetration and shit gun handling, so yeah, there's something to balance it out. And Super Conqueror, I mean, it's just so slow that you can't compare it. Because if we are talking about Clan Wars, that we have to think about the mobility as one of the deciding factors if you gotta pick a tank into Clan Wars or not, because the mobility is what the commander, or like what really wins games. So we have this. And we have it in the game for 2 years already. And basically, if you want to participate in Clan Wars, if you want to participate in global map, in advances, if you want to get into a good clan, there's even clan rivals tournaments that there's a possibility to play for you as a player. Well, this is a must-have thing. You need to have this to be competitive, because this is the tank that every commander is going to build a strat upon. I can think about 2, 3, maybe 4 maps where you don't really need this to be competitive. If it's Malinovka, Karelia, maybe Prokhorovka, you can, I mean, even Prokhorovka you need to like 4 or 5, but yeah, you can, on some maps you can live without it, but there are like 15 maps in the map pool, so on most of them you need this, like 100% you need this. And for 2 years already, the only way to get this thing was by playing Clan Wars campaign that's twice a year. And that was the only way. The only way to get this tank was by playing against people that already had this tank before, in the same battles, on the same battlefield, on the same map, where they have much better possibilities and much better means to win the game because they have this tank already. And there is no way, literally no way, you can replace this tank in your setup. There's no way you can get a tank that can be so versatile as a Chieftain is. So if you're gonna pick a Super Conk, then you can maybe go hull down. You're definitely not gonna be as impenetrable as a Chieftain is because you have actually weak spots on your turret. And you're gonna be slow as fuck. Not to mention the shitty sign armor and stuff. Well, then you're gonna pick a Clan Dragon, right? Well, Clan Dragon is gonna struggle with the penetration. It can't side scrape. It only can get hull down, and it has a clip. So if you shoot your 3 shells and you're gonna miss 1 or 2 of them, then anybody can just push you, even though your reload is really quick. So if you're gonna pick a 277, then you don't have gun depression, which you really need on most of the maps. So if you wanted to have a Chieftain, then you had to play against chieftains without one, and hope that you are in a clan that's gonna take you, and the clan that's gonna take you have enough chieftains already from the previous campaigns that you are fine with your shitty Kranwagen 277 Super Conk, you name it. And yeah, that's a way. There's definitely a way to get one, and then you have one chieftain, and you're gonna join all the rest of the players that are just fighting hull downs with their chiefs already. I don't really think this is fine. I don't really think there's any sense to this, but that's what we had for 2 years already. And guess what? For 2 campaigns straight already. So the last chance to get a chieftain was last summer, a year ago. So for a year already, Wargaming is restricting new players, or like players that are new to the clan scene. Wargaming restrict them from getting this thing. They can't anymore. For 2 campaigns already, and so that's a trend that may continue in the future. I don't know. But there's a lot of players that are still coming into the game, right? And one of the reasons why Wargaming put like Equipment 2.0 and I don't know, they simplify the tech tree and stuff like that. They are making some steps, and they even said it themselves, that they want to simplify the game and make it more easier and more user-friendly for the new players, which is totally fine, and I'm totally up for it. But if a new player, a player that can play for like 2 years already, but they didn't really care about Clan War stuff as well, and or like they didn't just care about Clan, and they suddenly get interested in Clan. Well, there are definitely a lot of examples of those players. Well, they can't do anything because no really good clan's gonna pick them up because they don't have a chieftain or any other reward thing. I mean, you can probably get into good clan with like 907 or something. And nobody's gonna take them, and there's really little room for them to actually get into a position where they are able to get one. And that was even before where the chieftain was available. And you need to really have like friends and stuff. And for a year already, and maybe even more, maybe never, I don't know, you are not able to get it. So do Wargaming actually know about this? Do they know this is a problem? Do they know how fucking bad it is for new players to get into a game and like do something in a Clan Wars? Of course they know. Firstly, they are kind of suggesting they know with not putting a chieftain in the campaign, because there has to be a reason for it, right? They don't really clarify the reason. They don't say anything publicly about it, like, we know it's OP, but you know, we don't want more chieftains on randoms and whatnot. They don't say really anything. The only explanation for chieftain not being in the winter campaign half a year ago was they are rotating the tanks. Like they are there's always like one tank missing that's not in the campaign, which wasn't really entirely true. It was like 1 or 2 campaigns that maybe like 1 to 1B was missing or something. But that was like one explanation. Right now, in the news article of the new campaign, there's nothing. There's just like the chieftain is just missing. The other thing that they did, and that's really hinting that they know about this as a problem, is an article of Rank Battles 2020-2021, which is like 1 year old. And this was the first season of Rank Battles where they restrict all the reward vehicles. So all those tanks, including the 279, all those tanks are restricted from ranked from the season. And in my opinion, this was the best decision they could have made. And I think that there's almost no one that could argue that this is like not fun or not more fun than with those tanks. Those of you who played ranks before definitely remember that it was basically a hard-down fiesta with chieftains and 279s. Everybody that had 279 or that had a chieftain, they played most of the season with those tanks because it was just easy mode. There was no reason to play anything else because you had the best tanks in the game. And the others that didn't really participate in clan activities because they just simply didn't want to. There's like, the games shouldn't really force you to play any mode that you don't want to play. Well, those were definitely in a big disadvantage because, as I said before, there's no tank to replace a Chieftain with, even with solo play, in solo play. So what they did was this, and that's totally fine, and I'm up to it. And what they explained it with, like the reasoning behind it, is we are taking this step to create equal conditions for all players in order to maintain the fair and competitive spirit of this mode. Great. Totally, yeah, sure. I mean, what's more to say? That's total fair statement, and I like it. Well, why aren't we applying this, really the very same statement? Why the fuck aren't we applying this to the clans, to the clan play? Like, what's fair and competitive about me fucking skiing in Austria last year and not playing the game before, and therefore didn't really, like, not having a chance to get this tank? Did I, like, so basically need for the mode to even be able to play it? I mean, you can play it with other tanks, sure, but, like, nobody's gonna want you in your team when you don't have a Chieftain. Just so you have a perspective, I'm talking about this because I played the last campaign, the winter campaign, with my community clan, which was a clan that consisted 50% of the clan, maybe even more, were players who didn't play any clan activities before. They were like casuals, you know. Some of them even like played a lot of like random games, but they didn't really care about clan before or clan activities, and that's totally fine. And yeah, there was this sense of community and subscribing, blah blah blah. People knew each other from chat, from Twitch chat, I mean. And so we decided to play the campaign with the clan. And what we had to do was we had to take some other people that had chieftains, so we at least have 10 of them. 10 of 100 people had chieftains with in the whole clan. And those of you who know how the campaign works, that know that there's sometimes, or like a lot of times, there's simultaneous battles, that there are happening, more battles are happening for the same clan at the same time. And what we had to do is that if we had a really important battle, we had to put all of our like 10 or 8 or whatever chieftains were available that day, or how many players were available. We had to put those players into one battle, and we knew that we were going to lose the other one because there were no chieftains available. And that day there was probably no option for a map that really didn't require those things like Karelia or Malidovka. So obviously there is an argument that you can make that the fact that you have a chieftain is not gonna win you a game, and that's totally right. And if you have a shit commander with shit players, and all of them have chieftains, and they are standing against good players with the good commander that don't have chieftains, the good clan probably gonna win, sure. But that's not a level playing field whatsoever, because if you are gonna put the same clan, or like the same skilled clans against each other, one of them with this vehicle, and one of them without it, the ones with chieftains, if the map is at least a little bit suitable, they are just gonna win. Like, straight up, they are gonna win. And the shit, like the clan without a chieftain, it was really hard for those players to get a chieftain even before, when it was available, twice a year. But right now, as for 1 year already, there's no way for those players to get a tank. How fucking stupid it is. And what's the reasoning? Like, how could you actually, how could you justify this? Well, the only justification that Wargaming probably has is they don't want to flood the random battles with a chieftain. Because they don't, and the fact that a chieftain is not a problem for a random battle is the fact that there are still, I wouldn't say a few of them, but there's not enough of them to flood the battles. There's like 21k chieftains in the server, and obviously not all of the players are playing all the time. Some of them, a lot of them actually, don't play the tank at all, only maybe in the clan activities, because the fact is just the tank is boring, right? I mean, it's fun for a while to just bully tier 9s, and even tier 10s actually, just getting 46 kph in a held on position and then just farm. But it's gonna get boring in a while, and for what I know, a lot of players who own the tank, they don't really like to play it. So the fact that it's not a problem for randoms is just the fact it's just that there are not enough tanks in the server. So that's the reasoning and the justification for Wargaming to not put it in a campaign anymore, to not fuck up the random battles, because sadly, or not, like, I wouldn't say sadly, but it's just a harsh reality that for Wargaming, unfortunately, the clan activities and the clan content was always secondary, and they didn't ever think about how the changes they are applying to the normal, like the core game, as in random battles, how are they affect clan activities and clan play. Always the clan players had to adapt to the changes that were made to the core game. So that's really unfortunate, but it's how it is, and that's how it was for a long time. But the thing is, this problem, it has a solution. It has multiple solutions, actually. And you can just pick one. There are hard solutions, there are soft solutions. There can be so many things done. But there's nothing that Wargaming is doing apart from this. And if you are not going to do anything about a tank, if you are not going to nerf it, if you are not going to restrict it from the clan games, and you are still insisting on keeping the status quo as it is right now, which is you need to have a chieftain to be competitive, otherwise you are fucked. So if you are not doing anything about this, then why the fuck are you still pushing Clan Wars content? There's still Clan Rivals tournaments. There's still 7v7 tournaments. And guess what? On those 7v7 tournaments, I think that the next one's going to be like next week or something. In the playoff stages, the reward tanks are banned because they know it's a problem, and they know it's boring. It's boring to watch. It's boring to play. It's just not good for the game at all. So they are still promoting and pushing somewhat, at least. There's some sort of uprising in a competitive scene of World of Tanks. They are still pushing this, and the players, the ones that are participating in this, the ones that are playing these tournaments, they don't want it. They want Tech 3 tanks, but Wargaming is not giving this to them, and they are still pushing this content as it is right now, which is like so wrong in my opinion. And I think that this is outraging for me that it's happening for such a long time, and the only thing that you get from them after 2.5 years of this, everybody knows it's wrong for a year already. Like, people didn't really understand for the first time that the Chieftain got into a campaign that it's gonna be broke, or like it's gonna be such a problem. But the more you get into the players, because I think it was 3 or 4 campaigns that Chieftain was in, the more as a problem it is. And they know it for at least a year that they fucked it up. But they are not willing to admit that they fucked it up, and they are just trying to like look, or like they're trying to make it seem that like the problem doesn't exist, just by not, in their opinion, making it worse in terms of not putting more tanks. But this is not a solution whatsoever. This is the worst that they could have done. If you don't want to do anything about a chieftain, you don't want to nerf it or anything, just make the players that want to play Clan Wars in this shitty state with 10 or 12 chieftains in each side. If you really don't want to do anything, that just give the players option to get a tank as well, and just be part of this shitty system that you created. But at least give them the chance to have the tank. Not just restrict them from getting it while still keeping this shitty state. So, okay, well, I'm ranting about the same thing already. So, what's the solution then? Like, how to deal with this issue that they created? Well, I think that the most obvious solution to this, which is in my opinion totally fine, is to make Clan Wars or any competitive modes as ranked as already Tech 3 vehicles only. It worked in ranked, right? The reaction from community on those rank system is overwhelmingly positive. Overwhelmingly, I didn't see I think anyone who was like saying that this change is shit or anything. So just restrict it. Why wouldn't you do that? Just make it Tech 3 only, and if it's too hard, then just restrict the number of free vehicles to, like, I don't know, 3 let's say 5, whatever. It's a number for debate, and we can talk about this. Just why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? There would be almost no one who would be pissed about this. Like, I did a research, I asked people, and there was literally 0 out of 20, 30 people that I asked. There was literally 0 of them that would be pissed about the fact that they can't play Chief in Clan Wars, and the Clan Wars would be Tech 3 only. There was no one. Why wouldn't you at least try that? Just try it for I don't know, try it for a week, for a month. You're gonna see the feedback, right? I mean, if the feedback would be somehow overwhelmingly negative, then you can like anytime revert it back. There's no reason why wouldn't you, or like make it a different server, whatever. There's so many things that you can do. You are not doing anything. And on top of it, for me to not rant as long, on top of it, you're gonna put a Bond Turbo in the game that nobody fucking asked for. There was no one who was saying, oh, it would be nice to have a Bond Turbo, so good things are even better. No one was like that. And the meta game is already that you are putting turbos on heavies, and especially on chieftains. Like the meta is improved hardening, turbo and rammer in Clan Wars, basically on almost all of the maps. So what you're gonna do, Wargaming? Yeah, you're gonna put another piece of equipment for good players to be even better, while the casuals that maybe would sometimes want to compete with the good players are even more fucked. Because yeah, with the Bond Turbo, the Chieftain is basically a medium. I tried it already on the CC account. And the Chieftain is basically a medium, and the only a slight bad thing about the tank, which is the mobility, which was already really fucking good for a heavy tank, is the mobility is almost the same as a STB. Like, what the fuck are we even doing here? Makes no sense. So with all this, you have to ask, like, do they even know what the fuck they are doing? Is there any plan? Is there any vision? Is there any system in the changes they are, like, applying to the game? Because for me, it makes no sense. And this is a topic for such a long time. And they say after 2.5 years that they are going to monitor the situation with the Chieftain. How the fuck, like, what the fuck would be there for monitor? You could have monitored it for 2 years already. Since the fucking day one you decided to put this tank into the game. Like, nobody really thought about the fact that it's broken? How many people had to approve it? And before the Chieftain came into the game as a Clan War reward, every clan player or Clan Wars player were totally fine with getting an M60. People were totally fine with getting the first 1007 before the HD model, which was just like a fucking, I don't know, moving ammo rack. They were fine with getting the E6 with the cupola bigger than E5s. The previous reward tanks were not OP or broken whatsoever. Why this one had to be? Like, who asked for this? No one really did. There was no community, you know, need to have an OP tank in a game. So why this one? I mean, is there a different guy in the company that came with a policy that reward tanks should be OP so players, you know, have something to play for? But they had something to play for before. I remember those days where M60 was the best that you could have get. And when you had an M60, you were a fucking flexer. Like, you didn't need the tank to be OP. You were just flexing on others because you had a tank that nobody could have really got. And there was a start of reward tanks and campaigns, and it's like a, you know, good old days. I mean, the game had different problems before, but that's not really something to talk about here. So, I mean, it exists for such a long time, and nobody's not doing anything against with it. And not only you are not solving the problem, you are just making it worse for some people, at least. Maybe not for the game in general, but the fact that people can't get a Chieftain to be competitive is just so fucked. And you are even putting the only piece of equipment that this tank had needed to be even more broken, which is the Bond Turbo. And yes, obviously, every player that competed in ranked and they want to be competitive in Clan Wars, they are going to put it on the Chieftain because there's no better tank to put it on. And it's just so stupid. And obviously, the other thing that's happening in Clan Wars for a long time is the presence of EBRs and the fact that it just really it just messes up with the gameplay so much, and not in a good way. So I think that could be a topic for another video. The fact that I'm not really covering EBRs here as much is the reason that everybody can get one. And that's one of the really big differences between those examples of broken things in Clan Wars. So everybody can get an EBR. The fact that it's not good for a game whatsoever is really blatant in my opinion. And Skill already covered it in his video. So that's why I'm not really talking about this here. But the Chieftain and obviously 279, they are two really bad examples of like shit balancing that's not being done right. And I think there are so many ways. I mean, you can nerf the tank. You can nerf the tank with the compensation to players. You can nerf the tanks without a compensation to players. I mean, yeah, you would probably piss some people, and a lot of people, because people had to work to get the tank. But you could have done it. Sure. Just do anything. Just face the issue. Because you created the issue, and I'm talking to Wargaming right now, obviously. Like, you made this. You created this problem. Just face the fact that you fucked it up and fix it. There are means to do that. You can do that as a company in so many different ways. Just pick one and do something. Because this pussy approach of, you know, trying to not piss anyone, because the only reason that I see why are they not doing it is that they are afraid of pissing off the people that invested, you know, money and whatever money. I mean, mostly time, the fact that people get those things in a clans that they wouldn't ever apply to for money is probably like a general secret, right? Or a public secret, I mean. So, yeah, they would probably piss some people, and that's the only reasonable explanation that I can think of why are they not doing it. But the time is up, in my opinion. The time was up already for quite some time, and it's time to face it. It's time to do something about it, because if you are not, and the only thing you're gonna do is just not give the tanks to anyone, you are gonna fuck the clan scene, and it's gonna die. And it would be a shame, because even though I understand that it's not like a main focus on most of the World of Tanks players, it's still a really good part of the game that can be fun, and I know how playing in a clan can be fun. It creates like communities, it creates social contacts and social connections that you wouldn't get in playing in a platoon, and it could be so much fun. And killing it with the fact that you are not able to compete against better people, because not only they are already better by skill, but they even have a better better vehicles to beat you with. It's just so frustrating that most of the people are probably gonna quit when they are starting. The only way that you can have fun as an average player without a Chieftain in Clan Wars is by playing against other average players and average clans that are in the same situation as you, which is not really motivating, in my opinion. So yeah, this is the Chieftain problem and the Clan Wars problem, which is really translated into this. I think that there has to be something that can be done. And as I said, I don't really think that my video is necessarily going to change anything, but I think it's really needed to be up there, at least for my conscience. So I'm definitely going to be glad that if you are going to put a comment, what you think about it, what your solution would be, if you agree with mine or you see it otherwise. I don't really care. You can comment in Czech as well. I would probably read most of the comments anyway, so if it's English, if it's Czech, I definitely will welcome all of yours, your thoughts and comments. And yeah, so that's my take on this, and I think this kind of had to be said, and somebody had to say it, because I don't really see anyone talking about this publicly. So yeah, thank you for listening. I hope it wasn't such pain to listen to me, because my English definitely isn't the greatest, but I did my best. Anyway, thank you, and let's hope that maybe sometime in the future, there's gonna be something can be done about this. See you guys.